Hi guys, that was pretty funny. I was driving along here on this trail of mine, it's my dog sledding trail, and I suddenly felt like, here I'm going to stop. And when I did it, I was wondering, why am I going to stop exactly here? And then I looked to the left of me, and a huge moose is standing there behind that tree, and he runs off, of course, immediately. But it was really awesome. Strangely, these communications that there are without actually being a technical communication. But anyway, I was just driving along this track here, trying to scout some places for track traps. And I'm going to talk about track traps in another video. This is not going to be about that, but that was the reason why I'm out here. So yeah, when I came back following that moose a bit, I went here. It's a huge trail out here, and it was pretty cold and so on, and I think, well, I hope my snowmobile will start. And that got me thinking, because I hear a lot of snowmobiles in the distance, and a lot of those are rented by tourists. There are a lot of people here in the neighborhood, in this area that owns snowmobiles, of course. And I was thinking, hey, these people go out into the wilderness far further than they would normally do on any occasion. They wouldn't go out in summer and hike 20-30 kilometers out into the woods. They wouldn't do it. Only a few that hunt, of course. But so that was an interesting thought. Why would they all of a sudden go out on their snowmobile driving into barren wilderness with probably not that much of stuff with them? So yeah, I thought that's a nice idea for a series, because I think a lot of these people would be in pretty big problems when something happens, because that is what can happen. This thing cannot start. I might be out of fuel, there might be a mechanical problem, whatever, something happened and I can't go on. And if you then think it's now about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 18 degrees below zero, in about 3 hours it's dark, and then it will be 20-25 below zero. And during the night that will drop even further. So that's a real risk. Still, people go out here and are kind of ignorant of that. So they, luckily, usually when you sit on one of these machines, you are pretty well dressed. So that's a good thing. So my idea was, like, I could make a little series of videos of this, where I will first, in this film, discuss shortly what the mental aspects are. What can you do to prepare, and what will happen mentally when something really bad happens, and how do we deal with that? And then in the later videos, I will show you some practical skills, some practical things that you need, or that you need to be able to do when you're out in this environment, maybe for a night or longer, who knows. I'm not going to teach you. I don't want this to be a film where I teach you the skills in detail. I will show you the things that that are needed to do, and then you know what kind of skills to acquire or look for when you want to do these kind of things. So it's not going to be a really boring thing, and that's also why I want to split this in several videos, because instead of one long monster film, let's just take this when I'm out here on the scooter, and every time I'm out there I can take one of these aspects, as it's nice to show you. And already there are a few videos made by me that deal with all kinds of survival issues in the winter, but there are quite a lot of stuff that I can deal with still, which would be fun to show you, because I think it's nice, but also because it's really useful to know. So where to start? Well, like with everything, most survival start at home, and start by realizing what you're doing, and also being there mentally, knowing that if something happens, I need to be able to do something. And that's just simple preparation. You don't go out into the wilderness having nothing with you. So yeah, there's another video, it's called My Winter Work Go Pack. Well, this is it. It basically has a few things in there, not a lot. It has a first aid kit, that's really important. I got a knife, I got fire starters, I got a modern fire steel on the knife. There is some big lighters in there. Never do only one of something. Certainly not with fire. You need to have a few fail-safe fire starters, because fire is absolutely of great importance, of course. I got a bunch of cordage. I got a container, which is really important. You need to have something that you can boil or warm water in. So that is absolutely vital. In fact, I have the Crusader cooking system with me, so I got a bit more than just a container, but it's there. I'm not going to open it up and put it all on the ground. It's snowy, I don't want that. There is a tarp in there for when I need to get out of the wind for some reason. There is a survival blanket, like the Milo one, not the really flimsy thin ones. I have one of those as well in my first aid kit, but this is a roll that you can put onto the ground or roll somebody in, and it's a real help. These things are more for helping others basically, but they can be really great to have with you anyway. So yeah, and a pen lamp is good to have. I got a watch on, is good to have. There is a compass in there somewhere. So, and you carry this on your person. You don't put it in there, because if this thing goes through the ice, this is gone. You put this on your back. And you have some other places where you have fire starters and so on. You have another knife. You have all these kinds of things are nice to know. But I will go into that slightly more detail later. But I want to put light on now is that this is something that you've done at home. You have prepared yourself. You have thought in advance, what if? And that's a really, really important thing. What if? The other thing that is really nice, that is if you're at an accommodation or at your home, it doesn't matter, or that you leave notice of what you're going to do, that you tell somebody, I'm going to rent a scooter, or I'm going out on my snowmobile and I'm going there and there. I plan to go there and there and be back at this and this hour. That might seem a bit, strange. You're maybe not used to doing that. There are a lot of people that do that all the time. They sit in the bus telling their wife they're on the bus, or their mother or whatever. In this case, when you're venturing out into the wilderness, make that a habit. Make it a habit to tell people where you're going, what you're planning to do, how long that will take, and when you plan to be back. And also make it a habit to demand that from some person you know that goes do these things. Of course, when you're out there, your plans may change. Then it's really nice, just make a little phone call, tell people. I've seen in some movies in the US, it's pretty common that an accommodation or some kind of say it's a national park or whatever, that they have kind of a register where you can write your name, of your party, all the names, and where you're going, what you plan to do, how long it will take, and when you think you will be back. And that is an absolutely fantastic thing. They should do that more here and advertise it more in the hotels and whatever not, that people do that. Because here you don't have, sometimes or quite often you don't have any persons to speak with what you're going to do. So it's really nice if you're in a hotel or in some sort of accommodation that you can be able to register your plans. I think it's a great thing, really. So that again is something that you do before you're out here. Now when you're actually out, then there is something that is not predictable, and that is when something happens, of course. In 99.9% of all the cases, nothing will happen, you will have fun, and it's a great memory for the rest of your life. In this very rare instance that something goes wrong, nobody knows how you're going to react, and that is something people might say they're conditioning themselves for survival situation. It's not going to happen. If you actually condition yourself to a survival situation, you have to put yourself into a survival situation, and if your reaction was good, you're able to tell it. If your reaction was bad, you're not telling anything anymore. And it's completely stupid to reason in that way. What I always try with people is not to condition them to how they react in stressful situations and whatever not. Now, what I think is more important is that they have this thing they can grab hold of in a real situation. That no matter how confused they are behaving, how panicked they are, or how stressed or whatever, that somewhere in the back of their head there is some little thing they can grab hold of and pull themselves out of the situation with, because that is absolutely vital. You need to calm yourself down and create a plan for yourself. And one of the things that is really nice to use for that is STOP. STOP is like an acronym, and you see it, I think, written about quite a lot of times in survival literature and so on. I don't really care so much about the meaning of the acronym themselves, of the individual characters. The fact that you have something so simple that's called STOP, which in quite a lot of languages actually means stopping, is this thing that you can grab hold of. Even when you're totally flipping out over a situation, somewhere in the back of your mind you will have this, I learned once this STOP. This is when I should stop. And STOP, the acronym is actually STOP, Think, Orient and Plan. There are some variations, it's at least what I put in there. And of course the S is STOP, that is stop what you're doing, stop panicking, stop reacting in a negative way. But you cannot predict that one, that will happen. There's no way for somebody else to predict how he or she will react in a real crisis situation, and you should never ever judge anybody by how he reacts in a situation. But again, if you have in the back of your head this little thing nagging about you should stop, then you should stop, and you will be able to pull yourself up with that. So that's what the S is for. Stop doing what you're doing, panicking basically. Then you have to think what happened and what is the situation, and that rolls into the other one, the orient. You orient yourself. What is the time? How much daylight do I have? What is the chance that people will start looking for me? How long will it take until they find me? And then you have to do a plan. Well, usually when you're out on a vehicle, there is one really big survival rule that probably everybody knows, but a lot of people forget the moment they are in a real situation. Again, that's because of this. You're not really reasonable. When something like that happens, your reaction cannot be predicted. But anyway, stay with the vehicle. Especially when people know that you're out there with that vehicle. It's really nice that when they find the vehicle finally, that they also find you. No fun if you just walked off into the distance. So yeah, you need to stay with your vehicle at all times. That is always the best solution. There are some exceptions, and there are some situations, of course, when that is not going to work anymore. If you've been with your vehicle a couple of days, you might think, oh, nobody's coming, or they can't find me, I need to move to a place where they can find me, or you take the decision, if you know where to go, I'm going home. But that we'll discuss in later videos. So those are the first things, when it happens. Before it happens, you need to do what if. Then you need to have this little thing that you can grab hold of to get back to your senses and start doing valuable, sensible things to save you and the people around you, your family or whatever is with you. And that's the stop. And then the first rule is do not wander off, stay with the vehicle. I think I'm going to leave you with that for this film. I don't want to make these films too long, and this one was already a bit long maybe. So in the coming weeks I will go out. I'm out with my scooter quite often just to do my work basically, and every time I'm out I will try to take one of these practical points that we can put some light on, things that you need to be doing. There's one thing that I can show you right now, one practical thing, which is also a well-known thing, but it's really nice to know. Whenever you're out in the cold, it doesn't need to be this extreme, like 20 degrees below. This can happen. You can get hypothermia even when it's plus 10. It doesn't matter. A very, very good trick is always look if you can connect your little finger and your thumb. If you can do that, then you are too cold. If you are unable to bring them together, you are too cold, and there is only one thing to do. That is drop everything you're doing and start making a fire. Because if you wait too long, you will not be able to make that fire. And as I'm going to show you in some of the videos, making a fire is really, really, really crucial, and it's not at all that easy when the only thing you have is this. So even there you can prepare. Take with you some dry tinder and so on, but I'm going to show you how you do it without that. But that's the first practical thing. This one is okay. If you can't do that, make a fire. So I'm going on now, and I'll see you in the next film, guys. Bye bye.